Hello everyone. I am just checking our setup here, which looks pretty good. Hang on, get a little bit more of a focus on that pan, and I think we're good. Okay. Hello! Welcome to another episode of Colavita Cooking Live. I am turning on our overhead camera right now because we film all of this. I'm gonna need my ladder. I'm too short. Okay. There we go. Hi everyone. Welcome back. I'm so excited to have you here. I am operating solo today, so I'm going to do my best to check your comments on Facebook, and Camelia, our social media manager, will be feeding them to me in the comments from our Instagram followers. So hi, happy Thursday. Welcome to Colavita Cooking Live. I'm Elena, and we are continuing with Homemade Pasta Week, which I'm very excited about. Just to report back, the ravioli were delicious. I did freeze them and stuck them in the boiling water, and they were just delicious. Very light cream sauce, and we have some leftovers too, so it was good. Okay, so today, here we are. Okay, it's working. Look at that. I love it when things work. Okay, today we are making homemade manicotti, or if you're in my family, my mom always says manigot. She leaves off that last I. I don't know if you have some similar experiences with this dish. What it is essentially is a really thin crepe that you fill with a combination of ricotta and mozzarella cheese and fresh parsley. And then you roll it up and you put it in a baking dish and cover it with tomato sauce and top with cheese, and you bake it like a baked pasta. And the reason that these are so wonderful is that they are just so light. When you make the crepes right, so the crepes are really, really thin. And the cheese, the ricotta, is just so light also that it's like eating little clouds covered in tomato sauce. They go down very easily. As my brother always says, he can eat a whole tray. And my mom usually does make them in trays. For Christmas, usually, that's when I'm used to it. I know a lot of people have them for Easter. But honestly, anytime you want to make these, it's a special treat for anyone who gets to experience it. So, hi, Mary Eileen. That's the way to say it. Manigot. I know. I try. So we need a few things. I have a crepe pan here that I've had for a very long time. I used to make a lot of crepes in college. I'm sure that's not the normal thing to do as a college student, but that is what I did. And so I have this crepe pan still. It's well seasoned, and I'm going to add a little olive oil to it to season it a little bit more as we go on. And I make the crepes in that. It's important to have one of these pans. You could probably use a non-stick, but I really like the crepe pan. It's not a non-stick. You have to season it, and but it really works. And when you get it really seasoned, you can kind of do the flippy thing in the air, which I got good at one point, but I don't think I'm accomplished enough right now to do that for you. So, let's see. The first thing that I'm going to do here is make our batter for the crepes. And I halved this recipe for today because I'm just going to make a few crepes, take you through the process, and then, load it all up in a tray, and then I'm going to show you the finished one, because I think it might bore you to tears if I were to make 24 crepes in front of your eyes. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay. So I have a nice mixing bowl, and I have 3 eggs, whole eggs, whites and yolks, and I'm going to put them in my mixing bowl. Okay, now what I like to do first is take my fork and whisk these so they're really well whisked. I don't want to and yolk. And so I do that before I'm adding my flour so that I make sure I've got my eggs really well mixed. Okay, that is pretty good. I'm going to turn up the heat on my crepe pan for just a second. Okay, so we are all mixed up. Now we are all mixed up. The great thing about this recipe, it's really easy to half or double because the proportions are very simple. You've got eggs, you've got flour, and you've got milk and a little salt. And I use a tablespoon of flour per egg. So you can essentially just keep multiplying. The recipe on the website is for 6 eggs, 6 tablespoons of flour, and a half a cup of milk. I have 3, 3 1/4. So just so you know, I'm doing a little bit less. I'm gonna add some salt directly to my eggs, and I'm gonna whisk that together. Okay, hello, Michael, how are you? Welcome, thank you for joining us. And Trisha says hello from Instagram, that's great. Hi, Trisha. Okay, so I have my 3 tablespoons of flour that I'm gonna add directly into my bowl here. Now, something you should know about this batter gets a little lumpy. It's okay. I was texting with my mom about this yesterday because I was testing this. I wanted to warm up my crepe skills before I brought them to you here live. And my batter was kind of lumpy. And so not to be feared, lumps, according to my mom, are part of it. And it's good to be a little lumpy. So take that for what you will. And we are gonna whisk this as much as we can, realizing that lumps, they will be a part of it. I do feel like it is helpful to whisk the eggs beforehand to kind of minimize those lumps. And I do feel like a fork is kind of the best thing to use for this whole process. So we are going to turn this down. This pan gets really hot, by the way. If you have a crepe pan, you will know that. Okay, so we have our somewhat lumpy batter. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ladle it into our crepe pan. And I need a little plate to put these guys into. Plate. Okay. So I'm going to ladle it right into here. First, I'm going to put a little of my Colavita olive oil on here. It's pretty well seasoned, but I just like to keep things going a bit. Yeah, that is good. Now, when I add my batter to the crepe pan, I'm going to kind of want to twirl it around a bit and make sure that it flows all over the pan. Because I just really, again, it's really important to keep these things so thin. It's just like the tiniest, thinnest of jackets for the cheese that's going to go inside. Okay. Let's make sure we have that. And let me just get one thing. Okay. I'm going to add just a touch more. I see in the middle I have a little spot with no oil, and I want to make sure that everything is covered. Okay. What about using a whisk? So, yeah, my mom says she's lumpy too. Using a whisk is totally fine, a wire whisk. I actually just like the fork, and I think it works a little bit better. Also, it's small and it kind of stays out of my way. The whisk is big, and then when I start adding my fancy ladle, things get crowded in my bowl. So feel free to use a whisk. Okay, so I've got my pan nice and hot. I'm going to add my batter. So I have a process here because I'm right-handed. I take the ladle with my right hand, and I take this one with my left. And I add swirl it around. Now you may need to pick up another scoop. The first pancake, or the first crepe in this case, is not always the prettiest. Yesterday, my first crepe was pretty hideous, and it's okay though. It gets better, trust me. Okay, this one's gonna be not so cute. My edges aren't great, but you're gonna see that they will get better. I always allow my first pancake to be a little weird, and this will certainly qualify. So I have a few things that you can flip with. This is a heat-resistant spatula. This is like a little pastry knife. Anything that's really narrow that you can slip under there and pull up. See how that's working? This worked really well for me last time. You can see I can slide it. I'm really not going to attempt flipping it in the air for you guys, I'm sorry. Oops, that didn't go so well. Okay, so it just really takes a few minutes to cook on each side. And then we're going to slide them off onto a plate, and they're going to await their lovely cheesy filling. Okay, I promise my next one will be more pro. I'm just getting warmed up. I was doing this yesterday with ease, and I made lots and lots of crepes, so I'm sure I can get back into it again. It's just nerves. Gotta shake it off. All right. So let's see. So for filling, I'm going to talk a little bit about filling while I'm doing this. I have a lovely mix of ricotta and mozzarella, and also some fresh herbs. I use parsley and a little salt and pepper. That's pretty typical. We're going to get this guy off. See how easy that is? Oh, I love it. So nice. Okay, this isn't the prettiest of ones, and it's a little hot, but I promise to hold it up and show you how paper thin it is once it cools off. Okay, we're going to go for number 2. But you could honestly fill these with pretty much anything. I was actually thinking of doing some butternut squash and risotto. That would be really nice for fall. You could put some spinach in there for summer. We've got our fresh spinaches coming out, so that would be a really great idea. So you could play around with that. I'm doing what's most traditional, what you'll find usually, what many of you are probably used to in your homes. But if you have a filling that you've used, I would love to hear about it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take a little bit more. Whoops. We have to get it on the stove. That is a requirement of cooking, is to make a mess. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but pretty much that is my MO, is making a mess while I cook. It's not too bad though. All right, so that one's a little bit better. And you can see I've got actually a circle happening here, which is really something you should aim for. So twirling the pan while you do this is an important step. And also, you can see when it's cooking. So you're gonna start to get little tiny air bubbles. Like a pancake, you can see like when those bubbles kind of up, that's when you know it's time to flip. So we flip. There we go. And this is what you really want. You want this beautiful blonde color, not too much browning, and just like even cooking. So this is pretty much exactly what we want to go for. Yay! See my warm-up pancake. That's why you should always maybe have an extra egg and an extra 3 tablespoons of flour on hand so you can pop them in the mixing bowl and go for it. All right, let's see. Yes. This is a 10-inch crepe pan that I have. They do make them smaller. Smaller is totally fine. Might help you stack more crepes in your baking dish. So any size is really okay. And actually, that's why I did get fewer crepes per batter, because I do have a pretty large crepe pan. This is like for like dessert Nutella crepes, not so much for the baking manicotti kind, but you could spoon a smaller amount in here. Okay, we're good. We're gonna go for another one. Getting greedy. Here we go. to make them smaller. I would just not let them travel all the way to the edge of the pan. Sometimes I push the batter around. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen crepe makers, but they often have that little crepe rake that they use to smooth the batter around. I really want to get one of those. Okay, I'm going to use the last of this to make this last magnificent crepe. And then I'm going to show you how to put them together. So I have 3 ready for demo purposes. So ideally you'd be here for maybe a half an hour or so. It doesn't take that long, again, because they cook so quickly. This one's actually ready to be flipped right now. So it's not a very labor-intensive process. You know, there is this, but honestly, it's not so bad. Look at that. Gorgeous. Now I want to show you exactly how thin this is. This is really, really thin. So this is even thinner than a breakfast crepe that you might be used to. Those have a little bit more meat to them. These should be like super thin, like clouds. I know I keep talking about clouds and eating clouds. I don't know why I say that, but it's true. Light and fluffy. Okay, where did you get your cooking gear? It looks amazing. How long on each side? Okay, sticky sucker. So, a couple of questions. How long on each side? I mean, honestly, you want to use your eyes. So, it's practically a minute on each side if you've got this pan nice and hot. And you will see the little bubbles that start to form on the one side of the pancake when it's ready to be flipped to another. So, I'm saying a minute. And then you'll notice that when it's done, it slides. I don't even know if that was a minute. It's pretty much super fast. Okay. So those are our crepes. Where do I get my cooking gear? Which cooking gear? This thing, I have no memory of where I got this, but a crepe pan is pretty easy to find. Random odds and ends collected over lots of time spent in the kitchen. Okay, so now we have our crepes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill them. All right. I'm going to use this little guy because I've only made a few. But what I would do is I would have a large baking dish and like a 9 by 13 baking dish. And I would use that. And I would line them all up in there. I'm going to show you the wonderful payoff of that in just a second. Okay, so I have my ricotta and mozzarella mixture. And what I'm going to do, so you guys can see this, let me move this up, is that, yes, if you can see your hand through the crepe, it's thin enough. It's true. It should be so, so thin. Okay, so I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons. Again, this depends on how large your crepes are. So mine are kind of large, so I'm going to go for 2 tablespoons. And I position it at the top, in the top third of the crepe. And then I roll it. So it just looks like that. How great is that? Perfect. Okay, and then in my pan, what I'm going to do is at the bottom, I am going to add a thin layer of Colavita crushed tomatoes. I like the crushed ones for this because I just like everything to be really, really smooth. I think that's the way to go because everything's just so delicate that I don't want to introduce much texture. But that's me, you know? I mean, you might choose something else. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to load them in. This is going to be a mini serving. I'm going to take this guy. A little bit more. Maybe just a wee bit more. Okay, and I'm going to roll him as well. And stick him in there. And then I've got one more. This was my first pancake, but he's still delicious. So I'm not too worried about eating him, even though he's not as pretty as the other 2. Okay, roll this guy. Now, I will say this about the filling. It's really important to taste your filling for seasoning because some cheeses are saltier than others. I'm sure you've found this in your travels. Some mozzarella has more salt in it. And so when I make the mixture, there's no egg in this one. You could add an egg to it, but there's no raw egg in here. It's just cheese and herbs. So I do taste that for salt and pepper. And if it needs more, then I'll add a little bit more. So I think that's a really important step. Some recipes call for adding an egg to your cheese mixture. And really that's just gonna help hold everything together and maybe give it a little bit more of a custardy texture. So you could try that. Okay, so I have here, look at my cute little crepes just tucked into this gorgeous little loaf pan. This is the cutest way to do it. This is a great way to do it if you need to portion stuff out. So not to make a big giant thing, but to make a couple, you know, and cook them up when you need them. This recipe you can assemble beforehand. I'm just covering it with tomatoes right now. So I want a layer of tomato sauce on top. It's almost like we're making a lasagna with the layering. And I want to make sure I have enough sauce. And I'm getting the sauce into the edges. So making sure there's enough moisture in here. Because when we cook it, I'm going to tent it loosely with foil. And I really want to make sure it doesn't dry out. So I really do want enough moisture. And who doesn't love tomato sauce? So we're going to get that all covered up. Now, if I were, let's see, where's my cheese? So if I wanted to assemble this beforehand, I could make this up in the morning, stick it in the fridge, and then bake it. I actually made mine yesterday and just baked it up just now, so it's really fresh for you guys. So you could do that, or you could assemble it all and freeze it. Just remember to bring it back to room temperature and then bake it. So I have my mozzarella cheese that I shredded, and I'm going to put that on top like so, like a little blanket. Okay, and then I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese as well. And I like the Parmesan specifically for the salt, that umami flavor. So I love a sprinkle of Parmesan, and I would even recommend adding it to the filling if you're so inclined for a little bit more punch. You could also do a shredded provolone, would be nice. So this is pretty much it. Let's see. Trisha asks, how many crepes does the regular crepe recipe make roughly? And Michael says he's starving. So the regular crepe recipe makes 12 crepes, which is more than enough to fill a 9 by 12 or 13 pan. So this is just, I did just a portion of it for this guy, so you could see. But yes, the regular recipe makes 12. Okay, so we've got this set. Now what I do at this point is either refrigerate it for later, obviously cover it, freeze it, cover it also for much later, or I'm going to tent it loosely with foil, and then I'm going to bake it at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. And after I bake it, what I do is I take the foil off, I rev up my broiler, and I stick it under the broiler to get that really nice crispy, that browning on top. I love that. So in just a few minutes, like really watch that broiler like a hawk. You do not want your manicotti going up in flames. So let me show you that. Let's see, where have I put paper towels? I'm gonna clean up a little bit for you guys. Okay. So let me see if this is still hot. No, it's okay. All right. So this is the glorious dish that I got out of the oven just a little while ago. And you can see, so this is not even 12 crepes, so this is a lot. You could double them up. I like to keep them in a single row because I feel like then all the crepes cook evenly. You know, sometimes if you double them, I don't know. I just like to be able to scoop one out at a time and not have to go down 2 layers. So I would bake more trays. I have to say, when my mom makes this at Christmas time, she gets those foil trays that are, you know, you can reuse them, but it's not like fancy cookware like this is. And, you know, just the big ones. And you can stack as many in there as you want. So I'm gonna scoop one out for you guys so you can see it. I have all the things I need for this. Okay, here we go. Which one should I take? I don't know. So as not to make the biggest mess, I will take the one closest to me. All right, here we go. So we have one little crepe. That looks pretty good. I might need a knife. And I'm gonna try it for you. Put that up there so you can see. Okay. That is a big bite. Oh my gosh. That is really, really good. Yay! Success! It was really good. The crepe is really, really light, and I have to say, so the mixture of the ricotta and the mozzarella with a little salt is really, really nice. I like a little ooey gooey cheesiness to my dishes like this, and as you know, ricotta doesn't really give you that like cheesy stretch, right? Mozzarella does though, and it also has a nice amount of salt, so that is absolutely perfect. Now, I would serve this with, maybe you could dress it up with a little extra herbs on top, or a little extra Parmesan, but it's all baked into the top. So really, this is just serve as is and ready to go. It's a perfect make-ahead dish. It is a little bit, you know, you've got to make the crepes, but I'm telling you, it is worth it. And you should make extra of them. And as our web programmer told me yesterday, save a few for Nutella. Or any kind of like breakfast thing. You can put berries in there. They are multi-purpose. So that is the whole show. I hope you enjoyed that, if that was informative for you. They really are good, I have to say. I'm dying to eat that other piece, but I'll wait. So we are going to have a poll for our next week's episodes going up soon, and we would love it if you would participate in it. So if you don't like our page on Facebook or follow us on Instagram at Colavita USA, we would love for you to do that. We'd also love for you to head over to colavita.com and sign up for our newsletter, because in that newsletter you'll get all of our recipe updates. You'll get links to the recipes we're making. You'll get video recaps of what we've got, what we have done, and you'll be able to surf through all of our other recipes that we've got. We've got quite a bit of recipes. So I would love for you to check that out and sign up for our newsletter. And this weekend is a holiday. So exciting. It's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day from all of us at Colavita. We wish you a very happy Memorial Day. We will not delay though. On Tuesday at 3 p.m. I will be right back here making whatever you vote for. So please pay attention to the polls one more day before you go on your happy way for the Memorial Day holiday, and give us a vote. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you on Tuesday. Okay, ciao for now. She's 90.